What's going on, people? What's really good? It's your boy Marv, and this is the Nerds in the Hood. Appreciate y'all checking me out once again. Back again with another Cobra Kai review. This time we are reviewing the final episodes of the Cobra Kai story. A beautiful story that blossomed once when YouTube had its own streaming service and they were their own original series and stuff of that nature is what I mean. And they found their way to Netflix. I wasn't watching when it was a YouTube original. I was watching when it got imported to Netflix. And I've been along for the ride ever since. I've drank the Kool-Aid, but it's a really good show. But I just want to focus, of course, on the last few episodes. We already did a review of the first half of the final season, and now this is the final half. One thing I will say I like, just to get it off the back, is the episode names. When the show first started, the first episode was called Ace Degenerate, and the second episode was, I believe, Strike First. And I think the third episode was Escolitos or something like that. But anyway, the last two episodes was called, with the next to last episode was going in reverse now because of the way they flipped the script and everything came full circle. So the next to last episode was called Strike Last. And the last episode was called X Degenerate because now it is Johnny changing his life. And that is one of the things I loved about this whole story. This was a true underdog redemption story. We no longer looked at Johnny Lawrence like he was a piece of garbage, like he was a total villain. We looked at him for the person he was, a lost, misunderstood soul that was being led astray when he was a young man. And he had a terrible teacher in John Kreese. He had a terrible teacher in Terry Silver. I think he was around for Silver, but I know he was definitely around for Kreese. So he had terrible teachers. He had a terrible upbringing. He thought he was dope because of the way he was being taught by Kreese until he ran into Mr. Miyagi and Daniel, and it slightly changed his life, but not for the better. And he grew up resenting it, hating everyone, not trusting anyone, just losing faith in a lot of just good things that he could have probably had in his life. Who knows? If it wasn't for Kreese snapping the way he did at the end of Karate Kid, aka the beginning of Karate Kid 2, we probably would be seeing a different story. This will probably be a Johnny Lawrence that is just well respected, or maybe a world champion somewhere, just doing something. And he didn't get to do that. And he lost a lot of his life because he just was drinking all the time, not caring, going through bad relationships, didn't have his family in his life for much of his life. Just so much stuff just wasn't there for him. And you get to see that true redemption in this show because he switches it up and becomes just from the underdog to just the most beloved man in the valley. The valley is his. He run the valley. You know what I'm saying? And I love that. I love that there was a scene at the end towards the end, where Kreese just realized that, like, yo, I've been wilding this whole time. And it's crazy that it took for one of his own students to pass away for him to go, oh man, I'm a monster. I've been doing this all wrong. It's so crazy I took him to see that, for him to come up to Johnny and go, yo, my bad, bro. I've been wilding, my bad. That's on me, bro. I shouldn't have done that. You deserve better. And it gave for a real emotional scene because in all 6 seasons of Cobra Kai, it wasn't really often you saw Johnny cry. You know what I'm saying? He cried like one time. He was like, wow, lit. And Miguel came up to him, and Miguel was like expressing his emotions, but he got Miguel confused and called him Robbie. And Miguel was like, man, you trash, bro, and just ran away. So it's not often you see Johnny like cry. So to see him cry that time and really yell at Kreese and just let him know, like, yo, my life didn't go the way I wanted it to, and it's partly because of you. That was a real scene. Like, that was really, like, he poured his emotion into what Johnny Lawrence should be feeling in that scene. That was powerful acting. Because for a second, your boy, I felt that. I felt like, you know what I mean? Like, I got a little choked up inside, because I felt like, yo, I was like, yo, that was real. Like, imagine this is real life. And Johnny Lawrence was like, yo, it's been 40 years and just could never get it going. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's real. So I really love this real underdog story that they chose to tell. I love the fact that the Sekai Tekai champions were not a member of Miyagi-Do, per se, technically. It was members of Cobra Kai. It was Cobra Kai winning. And this is what makes it crazy, because this was once a antagonistic organization bent out to destroy Miyagi-Do, destroy Mr. Miyagi, destroy Daniel, the only student of Miyagi-Do at the time. And now we're sitting here like rooting for them to win. But for me, it's because they needed that win. Cobra Kai, at least when it was led by Johnny Lawrence, needed that win, because Cobra Kai in Johnny Lawrence's world was more about not letting anybody keep you down, but also, like, you know, he wasn't trying to train them to be monsters. He was just trying to train them to not let anybody kick them while they're down and not let anybody keep them down. And that was what his whole lessons was always about. So when you see that translate into these tournaments, like, the way they wrote it was pretty dope, because on my mind, I was like, how do we get to it where a sensei has to fight? But that's what made sense, where it's like, yo, the whole team is going to compete. And that's how they're going to compete. In the sudden death, they're like, we don't need the same cats. They already been fighting. They already been throwing hands. We're going to make the senseis do it. And whoever wins out of the senseis wins the whole thing. Now, because of the writing and the way the Karate Kid is, I knew Johnny was going to win. I was waiting for it to happen. But there was still a part of me that thought Johnny was going to get packed up by Sensei Wolf. It was a part of me that thought that. I was like, if he loses, it is what it is. Maybe they're going to find some loophole and go from there. But it is what it is. Sensei Wolf will probably go somewhere. Who knows? But what we do know is Johnny Lawrence took Cobra Kai to the max, took him to the promised land. They won the chip. But it also is kind of funny, because it's like, that was just a final gift, like a final way of saying I'm sorry from Kreese, because in reality, Kreese got Cobra Kai up there, not Johnny. Kreese got Cobra Kai all the way to the final rounds of the Sekai Tekai, and it was only because of that young kid that passed away. If he was still kicking, he would have been kicking in that fight. He probably would have got. I'm gonna keep it real with y'all, because now that I got what I wanted to say with the Johnny Lawrence arc out of the way, for the most part, Axel should have won the whole tournament. But we knew he wasn't, because Axel, to me, is like a real life Android 16 in this universe, right? If you know Dragon Ball Z, you know that Android 16 was a very powerful being. He was a very powerful android, but he didn't really want to harm anybody. He was just doing what he was designed to do. But in reality, he loved the nature. He loved the animals, people, all that. He loved that. He just didn't want Cell to really just be Cell and all that other stuff. So he really was more focused on, like, yo, I'm just chilling, bro. And that was Axel. Axel just wanted to chill. He just wanted to have a happy life as a kid. He had the opposite of the life Miguel and them was living. He see Miguel out there and all them having fun. He see them loving it up. You know what I mean? He saw Miguel booed up with Samantha. Whole heart broke. Because he was like, damn, you got a man and your man here too? Man, I'm going to have to pack him up. So I felt like Axel should have won the whole thing, but I knew he wasn't, because the way the story was going to go. It was supposed to be a redemption story. Miguel wasn't really out here getting a lot of W's lately. I think, in the beginning of Cobra Kai, I know, did he win? Did he win that All Valley? No. That was Hulk, right? Hulk won the All Valley. Yeah, so it wasn't like, you know, Miguel was out here getting W's all the time. So he needed this. And he kept saying from the start, yo, I need this so I can go to Stanford, because I don't got nothing. And it all worked out in the end, because Robbie got what he needed too. Because now Robbie and Tori are both celebrities now in the karate world. They big time. They traveling, people rocking with them. They getting sponsors and all that. So that worked out in their favor too. And Samantha went to Okinawa. You know what I mean? So everything's cool. Now, Cobra Kai is being run by Johnny Lawrence. Cobra Kai is being also run by 3 black belts from the original team, which is now my man Kenny, a.k.a. Kung Fu Kenny. I'm going to keep saying it. I don't care what y'all say. Devon, she's the one lady holding it down, and Anthony LaRusso. So they all holding it down. And that's what makes it dope too. Johnny Lawrence now being the sensei to Anthony LaRusso, which he was before. What I'm saying is that now, he gonna help him get to the next level. I like that. I like where that goes. I like how cool that is. I think that is dope, because that is just how it's all coming full circle. And they made sure that they took a lot of cues from the first Karate Kid in the last few episodes to show like everything's switching up for the better. Even the words, they was taking it word for word. They was taking some of the words and switching it up. Even at the end, they showed when Johnny won the whole thing and Daniel gave him the trophy, he said, "You all right, Lawrence." Why? Because in Karate Kid 1, when Daniel won, he walked up and said, "Yo, you all right, LaRusso?" And I was showing love. Like, "Hey, yo, I got beef with you, but you all right, man." One other cool thing I liked was that your man Daniel basically just kind of low-key playing Johnny, because he was like, "Yo, you beat me with a flashy kick." And he looked dead at Johnny's face and said, "If you didn't run towards it, you wouldn't have got kicked." Bruh. You know how mad I would have been? Because when you think about that, he gonna be sleeping at night like, "Yo, I dead ran into that kick, bro. He ain't kicked my ass. I literally ran into the kick." Like, there was Daniel couldn't even move. His leg was broke. He couldn't, you know what I mean? Like, that is kind of crazy. And I thought for a second Johnny Lawrence was going to do a crane kick. I was like, "Yo, if you do a crane kick, bro, I'm turning this off." But he didn't. He beat him just regular Johnny Lawrence style. But it was just, like I said, it was like the culmination of all the Karate Kids coming into one. And they bringing back old people like my man, what was his name? Eddie Vidal or whatever. That, yo, if y'all don't remember who he was, he ain't really, like, they said in the storyline that he won some, whatever, cool. But yo, my son, they kept showing the clips, but I remember it because in the first Karate Kid, there was a montage where this one dude who had nothing to do with the storyline was packing Cobra Kai dudes up. He was giving them the work, showing them his hands was working. So it was cool that they brought him back one time. It was cool that they had Anthony Michael Hall, I guess just a nod to what the 80s were, and they were friends with them and all that stuff. But what was cool about it was just the nod to the fact that this is the end of a story that started with just one movie. Not really looking so much at Karate Kid 2, not really looking so much at Karate Kid 3, because we all know Johnny Lawrence didn't have anything to do with those two movies. He had everything to do with Karate Kid, the first OG one. And that's what made it better. That's why they kept focusing in the last few episodes on just the first movie. Because they wanted you to know that this was the movie that triggered this spinoff. Not 2, not 3. But what they did to fill the story was focus on 2 and 3. Give us Chosen and give us other characters to come back from those other movies. But in this specific last few episodes, they wanted us to focus on the original one to just say, yo, this is a real underdog story that we just never saw coming. And somebody took the time to make this story and give it the happy ending it really deserved for everybody. Because we remember when the end of Karate Kid, only Daniel had a happy ending. Miyagi had a happy ending. The girl he was with had a happy ending, right? You look at Karate Kid 2, Johnny didn't have a happy ending. Kreese got packed up by Miyagi. He didn't have a happy ending. And Chosen didn't have a happy ending. So by the time you get to 3, it's the same boat. Kreese didn't have a happy ending again. And now you add in Silver. So now, by the end of this show, yeah, unfortunately, we lost Kreese. We lost Silver from what we know. And there's one other guy I'm going to talk about in a minute. But this time, Johnny Lawrence gets that happy ending. Chosen gets that happy ending. He falls in love and moves. You know what I mean? Daniel keeps the happy ending he already had. So, and every other student of Cobra Kai and Miyagi-Do gets their happy endings as well, especially the main crew. Demetrius and Hawk go to college together with they boos, you know what I'm saying? They get to still see they boos, which, by the way, gotta point out, Demetrius is one of the underrated best favorite characters to me. Cause yo, your mans was clapping cheeks during the whole Johnny Lawrence fight. I gotta keep it real. I hate to take the PG out of this episode, but your mans was, what else was he doing? You think he gonna go in the locker room and just kiss for like 20 minutes to then like come out and just be like, oh, I missed the whole Johnny Lawrence fight. And he changed his clothes. Mans was clapping. He was clapping in there in the locker room because he knew nobody else was in there except him and his girl, and they made up right there. He was clapping cheeks. Super Smash Brothers, my brother, came out and was like, yo, I missed the whole fight? Damn, but we won though, and played it off like, yo, oh snap. Shout out to Demetrius. My mans went to Brazil, was wilding with other chicks, came back to his shorty, said he was sorry, got it in, and saw his team still win all in the span of 15 episodes. That is some MVP material right there. But I got to go back to this one character real quick. I'd be remiss because I did not bring this character up in the last review I did. I believe his name was Dennis, if I'm right. I want to make sure I got this guy's. Yep, it was Dennis. So his name was Dennis de Guzman, right? I don't care about his nickname, none of that stuff, right? He was one of Silver's henchmen in Karate Kid 3. He was rolling with Mike and the other dude, and remember they was rolling around, and there was always that quiet kid that was just behind Mike, just standing there kind of bullying LaRusso, right? And LaRusso packed Dennis up, light work. He got beat up by Mike, but he packed Dennis up in the third Karate Kid movie, right? Flash forward 40 years later, he comes back for revenge, helps Silver kidnap helps Silver kidnap Daniel in the middle of Brazil. He had to get out. Daniel packs this man up again, right? Flash forward later in the season, now he's back on Silver's boat, still working for Silver after getting packed up. Silver goes, yo, look, I need you to go over to the LaRusso's crib, right? Kidnap his wife and his kid, right? Kidnap both of them, right? Then he wanted him, I think it was either LaRusso's kid or I think it was Johnny Lawrence's kids. So I think he wanted him to kidnap Johnny Lawrence's wife and Johnny Lawrence's baby. So I think he wanted him to kidnap them. It was one or the other. Either way, he wanted him to kidnap the wife and the youngest child. Let's put it that way. And Dennis was like, I bet. Is that what you really want? He goes, yeah. And my man said, I'll give you the yacht, you know what I'm saying, when you come back. So he was going to kidnap people and possibly go to jail over a yacht. Granted, he could have flipped the yacht, got some bread. But he wanted him to kidnap some people and possibly go to jail over a yacht. And then at the end of it, Kreese packs up Dennis and he possibly bodies him. I don't know, but he knocked him out. Now, Dennis is stuck on this boat because he's knocked out. Kreese and Silver have their epic final battle, which was one of the funniest final battles I've seen because it's these two old men punching wild slow. They're just like, on a boat, which Kreese manages to knock over gas, then take his cigar and then throw it into the gas, and then the whole boat explodes crazy. And guess who's still on that boat? Dennis de Guzman has got to be one of the worst henchmen I've ever seen. Or I'll be nice enough to say he is a henchman with the worst luck. Mind you, Cobra Kai developed a lot of just crazy goons, right? And Johnny Lawrence was like the cream of the crop, and Mike. Mike, forgot his last name. But Mike and Johnny were the cream of the crop when it came to they like goons. Everybody else was just random goons who got packed up by Daniel at some point in time, right? But Johnny, as you see, got a redemption story, got an underdog story, pulled through, he's the champion, all that stuff. But Dennis showed you the other side of what happens when you stick around with Cobra Kai and try to keep that evil energy, keep that same evil energy. He got packed up on several occasions for 40 plus years. And then, I'm not trying to laugh, I'm sorry, I know it sounds dark. But then, just was caught in the crossfire of two old men throwing hands. And now he's going out with him. His story is done. He gotta be like his luck as a henchman has to be the worst luck. But further that, I'm saying he's the worst henchman because bro, your man got packed up for 40 plus years by Daniel LaRusso. At that point, if he packed me up the second time, I'm gonna look at Silver and go, yo, bro, I don't know how much money you giving me, but don't worry about it no more, my man. I came back, I'm a middle-aged man, he's still beating me up. I'm good. Go try to see if Johnny want to do it again, or get Mike. I'm good. I would have been like, cool, I'm gonna do my own Cobra Kai story. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can't take it anymore. Dennis De Guzman, if you survive that boat explosion, go get another job. Go be a karate instructor for somewhere else. Make your own school. Do something. Or maybe teach a class as to how to be an effective goon. I don't know. But just stop being a henchman. That's all I'm saying. Stop being a henchman. Let's bring it on home a little bit more. With that also in regards, shout out to this show for just always breaking the rules every single freaking time in every single freaking way. Let's be real. First off, John Kreese just kept walking through the streets of LA, of California. My man was walking through the streets where everybody was just like, oh, yo, Kreese, is that Kreese? Yo, what up, Kreese? Kreese, how you doing, man? Yo, they were looking for him at the tournament, right? They actually, when the tournament was being televised in the Valley, they was like, yo, where's John Kreese and all this? We tried to get an interview him, but he never responded. You want to know why John Kreese never responded, ladies and gentlemen? Because we also have to remind ourselves that before this tournament ever took place, your man's escaped from jail. We have to remind ourselves that he should not even be the sensei in this tournament because he is still a wanted criminal. He escaped from prison. The only reason he was able to even do what he was able to do because he went to Brazil, which is international waters. Brazil don't care that he escaped from prison. But once he came back to the Valley, your man was sitting in the arena. There's a scene where he's just sitting there like, he was sitting in the arena. Come on, man. Breaking the rules. Cobra Kai should not have won this tournament. It should have been the Iron Dragons, right? Why? Because one, I don't know how they do this in this tournament, but I could have sworn everybody was registered under a team, right? So once you registered, shouldn't that lock you into the team? I'm just saying, like, correct me if I'm wrong, write in the comments, let's talk about it. But if I'm locking in my roster, right before a tournament, how does Miguel get to switch over from Miyagi-Do to Cobra Kai just that seamlessly in the middle of the tournament's final competitions? Cobra Kai should have just had to rely on Tori. Tori could have fought Homegirl. Yeah, she could have won the championship. That would have been it. But Axel already beat Robbie because Robbie was unable to compete. Therefore, there was no man for Cobra Kai because none of them chose to show up. So at the end of the day, Iron Dragon should have won the whole thing, which is once again why I said Axel should be the champion. Because I don't know what kind of rules they were telling, but my man Gunther, I guess, just was tired and just wanted to go home, which is why they opened the final episodes with him just relaxing at some spa before Silver pulled up on him. I think he was just tired. I think he was like, let's just end this stupid competition. I'm so mad. We lost a freaking competitor in a brawl. We had a freaking brawl for them all. I don't want to do this anymore. I'm done. So I think he was like, whatever rules happen is whatever rules happen. And also, I think he just kind of realized like, yo, everybody keep cheating. Let's just end this and we'll regroup next year and work on the rules and all that other stuff. But all I'm saying is that Cobra Kai shouldn't have won the whole thing. If you go by what, I don't know what the rules are, so I guess I have no real reason to argue it, but I just go by sports. Once you lock in a roster, somebody can't just leave a team and go to the other team. If I'm playing for the Mets, and I know because I'm getting paid, but if I'm playing for the Mets, I can't the next day just decide in the middle of the playoffs, I want to play for the Yankees. No. You want the Mets until your contract is up. So it's a similar thing in a tournament, bro. You can't be in a tournament. Like I said, I could be wrong, but from what I know, I've been in a karate tournament when I was younger. You can't just be on one dojo and then switch to the next by the next day. That to me was wildin'. So Miguel shouldn't have won by that logic. Miguel should have won by beating Robbie earlier in the season and being the leader and then facing Axel in the Cobra Kai, in the finals. Cobra Kai should not have won at all, but we had to write a story that made sense for the show. So it is what it is. Other crazy question I had, why, and this is no disrespect to this man, but why did they use Ryan Clark as a sports analyst for a karate tournament? I mean, my man was a heck of a football player back in the day, won Super Bowls and stuff like that. This is not a show about football, though. Like, I don't see Ryan Clark doing baseball games or basketball games, right? So the same thing goes here. Like, you don't see, like, on First Take, yeah, he talks about a whole bunch of sports. Yes, granted, that's what First Take is about. But you don't see him randomly pull up to a volleyball game and go, you know what? I think this team has a drive. But hey, Ryan Clark, get your bag, my boy. I respect it. That was dope. But it was so random. I was like, you couldn't find somebody who, like, you couldn't get somebody that did like UFC or MMA to just sit there and just like kind of just talk and go, yeah, you know, that's a good open hand strike. Come on, man. Daniel Cormier or somebody. Hell, get Joe Rogan. But it just didn't make sense to me. Like, Ryan Clark it was so random. It was. But he did his thing. He did his thing. And I could sit here all day and point out some of the inaccuracies and all the things that made me laugh. But I do want to say that this show did end really well. Despite all of that crazy stuff, this show ended very well. It did what it was supposed to do. It was supposed to give you a redemption story about an underdog that we were not expecting at all. And just when you all thought it was going to revolve around probably one of the LaRussos winning the fight, or Miguel possibly winning the fight, or Robbie Keane winning the fight, it gave us something better. It gave us Tori winning fair and square after knocking a chick's teeth out and now being called the Tooth Fairy, to Miguel also winning and getting what he rightfully deserved, which was his place at Stanford. And everybody can move on and become who they want to be. And for me, that was dope. So when it comes to the reviews, as we always have here with our patented Nerds in the Hood review system, I'm going to say once again that this show was valid, is valid. It's valid. It was really good. It was written pretty well at the end. There was probably a lot of things I didn't really cover, but that's cool. Y'all know the vibes. Write it in the comments and we talk about it there. It does leave me with one last question though. Where does this leave us with this Karate Kid film coming out later in the spring? Because it just kind of ended there. And I know Karate Kid Legends is supposed to be a time skip from, I'm guessing, Cobra Kai. But what does this mean for that show, that movie? Like, because is this just the end of this separate storyline? Will we see Cobra Kai characters besides just Daniel show up in this film? Well, what will become of that? Or is it his own separate thing? That is the $1 million question I wanted to have, and I still have. And I wanted to see it explored at a little bit, maybe even a quick tease. But they didn't really give us that. I think what they did was they just closed the chapter of the Karate Kid series. All the trilogy, all the Cobra Kai show. I think they just wanted to close that. So when we do this movie, it's about just Daniel just chilling and just enjoying a post karate life. You know what I mean? Like him just accepting the fact that he doesn't have to look over his shoulder. He doesn't have to worry about Terry Silver or John Kreese or Cobra Kai or Iron Dragons or anybody. And he could just focus on just being a dad to his son and taking and seeing his daughter whenever she comes to visit and stuff of that nature. And helping train the upcoming youth. Maybe. I could be wrong, but that's my speculation on it. Also, I just feel like if we're going to keep bringing all these people from past Karate Kid films, I just don't understand why Hilary Swank's character wasn't used, right? You know what I mean? Like, let me make sure, because I tried to look it up. I really did. I don't know if it was like something with Hilary Swank's, I don't know if it was something with her schedule or she just didn't want to do it. But Julie Pierce, yeah, I just want to make sure I got the name for the movie. Julie Pierce should have had, I don't know, some type of say in this. Like, I just feel like the whole time Miyagi trained her, he never once was like, yo, why don't you come with me to Cali and come meet my other student? And then we start Miyagi-Do. I don't know, something. Like, Miyagi just went back to Cali and just was cool with Daniel and didn't do nothing with Julie for the rest of her life? I don't think so. I don't know. I don't know. I just feel like Julie Pierce, if we're really going the route of like these Easter eggs from the trilogy, even though it was a spinoff, it wasn't terrible, but it definitely wasn't great. But I think if it was her schedule, then cool. I'll give him a pass and move on. But I still feel like it should have been something where she should have been utilized. in some way. She could have trained Samantha. She could have trained Tori. She could have trained Devin, given Devin advice, something of that nature. Hopefully, maybe in the future, she'll find her way back in the storyline. But I just felt like if we're going to really tell that story, she should have been involved in Cobra Kai in some way. Yes, she didn't fight Cobra Kai ever, but hell, she could have helped out just on the strength that Miyagi-Do was being represented and Daniel was a part of Miyagi-Do, and so was she. She was his first female student of Miyagi-Do. We ain't counting the chicks that Daniel was just bringing around the crib. You tell him the fact that this woman was trained in Kung Fu, karate, whatever. There's a lot of questions, a lot of answers I will never get, but it's just a lot of things I'm thinking about. But write in the comments, let me know what your thoughts were. Did you like the show? Did you hate the show? Was there characters you felt shouldn't have got whatever they got, good or bad? Did you like the ending? What do you think this sets up for Karate Kid Legends? Let's talk about it. As always, my link tree is in the description. See what I'm doing on social media, the content I got brewing, and so much more. And I'm going to catch y'all next time on another edition of Nerds in the Hood, where Cobra Kai never dies. Good night, ladies and gentlemen.